Well, look, I have been so looking forward to this update because there's an enormous body of work that's been going on over the last several weeks, and indeed longer than that in some respects, to put together something that I want to share with you today around our industry presence and the growth in the industry presence that is, so important to the future for Dacxi Chain. So look, I've got a reasonably short presentation. You'll be pleased to know. I'm going to work my way through that. Some questions have come through at askus@dacxichain.com. I just want to say from the top, I really encourage people to send through their questions to us at that email address. We absolutely look at those. Some of those we respond to directly because they're either not appropriate for this forum, or they're just very long-winded responses. And then there's a number of them where I think it's useful to answer those questions in an update where we share those with everybody. So, and of course, this update is available on demand sometime in the next 24 hours or so. For those of you in the community that might be interested but aren't able to make the webinar live. So I'll go through the presentation and then we'll get into some of those questions, some of which were excellent. So the update I want to focus on today is really to talk about the three parallel paths that we are navigating right now that lead to our success. Okay, and so those three parallel paths, and for those of you who've attended these updates previously, I don't think there's anything in here that's brand new, which should be seen as very encouraging. The three parallel paths are the work that we're doing with platforms to launch the first series of deals using the Dacxi Chain technology. Okay, so that's the first path. The second is we recently announced, I think it was in the last one of these updates, that we've recommenced the process of designing and building the Dacxi blockchain. So that's a second really important path. And then the third path to success is to expand our global reach across the equity crowdfunding industry. So this is very much about building a global community, okay, global supporters, and bringing them into the collaboration process. So it links very much to the first path. So these are, in summary, the three paths that we're navigating simultaneously in parallel in order to achieve our future success. And so what I want to do today is just touch on each of these three in the spirit of update, touch on each of these three and share some more with you. So the first relates to getting the first deals shared through the Dacxi Chain technology. So in summary, we've been working really closely with two platforms that we've carefully selected, and we've been doing that now for some period of time, a few months, okay? Now, we've selected these two platforms on the basis that, well, first of all, of course, they believe in the vision and they want to be the first to get there, okay? So that goes without saying. But we've selected these two platforms in two separate legal jurisdictions. And we've done that. That's very important because it means that the first wave of deal sharing, it not only proves the technology, but it also proves our model. And it does it across different jurisdictions, which of course, as many of you know, is an important part of what we're seeking to achieve. So we've been working with these two platforms. They're in two different legal jurisdictions. And as we've previously announced, we are targeting the EU or the European jurisdiction as one of the two. And there's some really important reasons why we're doing that. So first of all, the EU market itself consists of 27 member states or 27 countries, okay? So it's a large and diverse equity crowdfunding market. The second point is that EU is a high growth market. So it's growing at a really impressive rate. And then, as you would have heard me announce not very long ago, as of late last year, the EU and those 27 member states they now operate under a singular regulatory framework. So one set of rules across 27 countries. Okay, so for all of those reasons, Europe is a really good jurisdiction for us to be engaging with, bringing them to the table, collaborating with them actively, and then very specifically, making sure that we're working with them as one of the two jurisdictions where we want to get this first wave of shared deals live through our infrastructure. Okay. I just want to make the point, the work that's being done is directly with the CEOs. Okay. We're not being handed a management team to deal with. We deal direct with the CEOs. And that is the way that it has to be. Okay. The nature of pioneering global equity crowdfunding requires us to have high quality conversations about sometimes quite detailed and equally sometimes very important considerations, not just for us, but also for them. And just in terms of getting things done, dealing with CEOs is always the best way. So I'm dealing, and other people inside the Dacxi Chain business are dealing directly with the CEOs of these platform partners. And look, we're getting close. Okay, so I just want to reassure you that there are a large number of issues to deal with for this first wave to go through successfully. Right, we're very focused on the detail because we think that's enormously important. And just want to make the point as well that whenever we identify that the technology needs to do something differently or new, we involve our partners directly in the conversation about precisely what it is that we need the technology to deliver. Okay, so it's an iterative process. These companies have their sleeves rolled up. The CEOs are in the trenches with us, and we've worked through an enormous number of issues. And we're now getting really very close. So a little bit more patience, but I can assure you we've made significant progress just in the last few weeks. I also just want to share one other point. Every time we identify an issue and we come up with a solution in collaboration with our partners, that's not something that is unique to one particular partner, or even indeed a particular jurisdiction. So in other words, changes that we're making along the way, we need to do them once. We don't need to go and redo them for new deals, or redo them for new partners, or redo them for new jurisdictions, okay? It's one engine. I'm talking about the technology now. It's one engine. So any refinements that we need to make to that engine are essentially universal. We're not going back and having to make changes to those changes for subsequent deals or partners or jurisdictions. Okay, so that's really important because what it means is that we build it once, but it will support deals in many markets for many partners. That's really, really important. So that's on the progress with our partners and moving towards those first shared deals. The second path of work is something, again, that I touched on in the last update, which is the design and build of our own blockchain. And obviously, we've been talking about this for a while. We made a conscious decision to focus on the application itself, so the actual Dacxi Chain infrastructure, rather than the blockchain that powers it. But several weeks ago, we said we now know enough, we've learned enough, and we have enough collaboration with the industry that we can go back and actually recommence that design and that build. And so that work has been ongoing. And I just want to remind you about why that work is really important. It's fundamental as a part of the overall Dacxi Chain solution. We've identified up to 7 use cases, and I went through these in the last update. So I'm not going to go through those again today, but for those of you that want to look at the previous webinar, you'll see me talking about what they are. This will also give us, our own blockchain also gives us a level of technical credibility that will strongly support a tier 1 listing, which in turn supports the value of the coin. So we think that's really important as well. And we know enough to go and design that blockchain. We even though we're future-proofing the design of that blockchain, we don't have to go and build it to do everything that we believe it should be able to do in the future. We don't have to build all of that into version 1. So it's a question of starting with the things that we understand are not going to change, and the use cases that we think are the most important use cases. And we design and build the blockchain to support all of those things, knowing full well that we've also factored in additional use cases as the business evolves, okay? So it just means version 1.0, we know enough to go and design and build that now, and that's exactly what we're doing, okay? So that work is ongoing. This is, you would have seen me present this slide before. This is a visual representation of the Dacxi Chain stack. So the application layer is something that we previously launched. The API frameworks are all built, they're launched. We've got first clients that have integrated into those APIs, okay? So that's platform partners, that's enormously exciting and really important. And then our layer 2 blockchain is the design and build that I'm referring to, okay? And that in turn sits on top of a layer 1 blockchain, whether that's Ethereum or Solana to verify the actual transactions, okay? So that's the Dacxi Chain stack. 2 of the 4 are launched. The layer 2 transaction layer, which is the Dacxi blockchain, that's in design and development as we speak, okay? So again, if you've got questions about this, and I'm not going to get into too much sort of technical explanation in these updates. I don't think it's the right forum for that, but please send through your questions and we'll endeavour to answer all of those for you. Okay, the third path, which is to expand our global reach across the industry. And so you will recall this slide is actually a slide from this update last month, a little bit more than 1 month ago. So we identified that the industry actually sees enormous value in coming together for this shared vision around equity crowdfunding that can operate seamlessly across borders, okay, across jurisdictions. And so on that basis, we said, look, there's actually a huge benefit for the business generally and the delivery of the vision to actually be seen and to actively continue to bring the global industry together. So these might be platforms or other stakeholders in the equity crowdfunding industry, some of which, you know, we're not ready to partner with or we choose not to partner with, but they still want to be part of a global industry group that can be actively collaborating and moving the ball forward as it relates to this vision around global equity crowdfunding. So we identified that there's a high return benefit to doing this. It shows the world that the industry shares our vision. It enriches our understanding of what we can be doing to realize the vision because we're talking to these industry organizations. And together, it's a really powerful statement that can actually start to drive some structural change. So in the last presentation, I previewed that we were going to announce the formation of the Global Equity Crowdfunding Alliance. And so I'm really excited and very pleased in this update to confirm with you that that's actually happened. So just quickly, what is the Global Equity Crowdfunding Alliance? In literal terms, it's a coalition of equity crowdfunding platforms from around the world that are working together to realize this vision, this Dacxi Chain vision, okay? And this provides a framework through which we can unify the industry through that shared vision, collaborate, explore and execute deal sharing scenarios, so actually move the ball forward in partnership, engage as a global alliance with regulators around the world. So if we have a global alliance that's well supported, our capacity to actually have high quality conversations with regulators is greatly improved. And we think that that long-term is part of what we can achieve in terms of accelerating the growth of borderless equity crowdfunding. And then it also establishes Dacxi Chain as the universally recognized industry leader. Okay, so when people think about global crowdfunding, they will just think about Dacxi Chain, okay, because we're driving it and we're seen to be driving it and people are supporting us driving it. Okay, it's not just about moving the business forward, it's about bringing the industry together and moving the industry forward. Okay, so that distinction is not semantic. We think that's important. So this again is the slide that I covered last time. So I'm really pleased to announce that we have now launched the Global Equity Crowdfunding Alliance. So for those of you that might be interested, we've launched a website. It's thegeca.org. And this website shares with the industry the vision of GECA, and you can see it here in very plain language, global borderless equity crowdfunding, okay? But it also has a whole bunch of other resources and information and features within this website that we believe will attract and ultimately secure the support of the broader industry across many, many markets. So just to give you a quick preview, we talk about the benefits of becoming a supporter of GECA. There's a newsletter that they will get. They can participate in invitation-only workshops where we actually get senior executives from different jurisdictions collaborating on specific issues, sharing experiences and insights. We plan to run regular roundtable discussions, drilling into a specific topic area with subject matter experts from the industry. So this is really important. It's not just Dacxi Chain saying, well, this is the way the world needs to be. The industry, what we're doing here with the Alliance is we're allowing the industry to take a level of ownership of the vision and to participate in our progress towards the vision, okay? So it's quite an important distinction between Dacxi Chain, the business, and the shared vision of the industry. And clearly those two align really neatly. I'd encourage you to take a look at the website if you're interested. We talk a lot about the benefits to the industry. We make it incredibly easy for people to register their interest. There's a QR code that makes that process really simple. We tell people in very simple language how they can join GECA. They just simply complete a form. For those of you who might be tempted to go and complete the form, just understand that we obviously vet all of those applications. So we're really only allowing people into the GECA community specifically as supporters who are actually participating in the industry itself, okay? So this is very different to the Dacxi Chain community. This is an industry community coming together to realize global equity crowdfunding. So we make that process of demonstrating their support, getting involved, very simple. We also allow them to share their email address with us if they want to get updates. So again, we vet those. This is an industry group. So we want to make sure that the stakeholders that are getting those updates are affiliated with the industry. That's really important. And we also share an enormous amount of content, which will continue to grow. So where we are today with this content is just a starting point, but this content takes the form of things like blogs, which are discussing and exploring different issues and opportunities around taking equity crowdfunding global, okay? So there's a number of these articles, and again, I'd encourage you to take a look at those, and we'll be expanding on these in coming weeks and months. That'll be an ongoing process. We're going to start to talk about the role of blockchain and global equity crowdfunding. All of this is important because it demonstrates thought leadership in this area, okay? It shows that we have territory, intellectual territory, which aligns with not just the vision, but gives the industry a reason to get involved. Okay, and look, an enormous amount of work, as you can probably tell, has gone into creating this alliance. Not just the work of creating the website, writing all the content, and producing that material, but also engaging with the industry to find out what are the types of initiatives they would like GECA to be driving, and to understand, the support that we can expect, which has been overwhelmingly positive. So everyone we've spoken to about this from the industry has said, it's a no-brainer. Do it now. And, we'd love to be a part of it. And so that's what you see here today. We've also included in the website a framework through which we can start to really expand a lot of the content, some of which will come from Dacxi Chain. A lot of it will come from the industry itself, okay? So just understand, this is not, Dacxi Chain taking ownership of GECA. We will drive it and we ultimately sponsor it. But it's really important that the industry itself is really influencing the progress and the direction of GECA, okay? But let's be clear, this is not an industry association. We're not here to represent 1,001 issues. We are here to achieve one singular vision as an industry alliance, and that is borderless equity crowdfunding, okay? Global equity crowdfunding. That's our singular purpose. It's a very professional launch. I think it includes a code of ethics. All of our supporters must agree to abide by our code of ethics. We also have a privacy policy to make sure that we're privacy compliant. So these are all the things that I think point to the fact that when the industry goes in to take a look at GECA and how it's run and what its mandate is and who's participating, this is the level of detail that becomes really important to reassure the industry globally that this is a really professionally run initiative, okay? And I think that also speaks to the quality of the work that will come out of GECA. So very, very importantly, we have great industry support for this. We're going to talk publicly, not just in these updates. I mean, in the industry, in certain business publications, finance publications, we're going to be talking about that growing wave of support. But you can see here from, just this quote alone, that the industry really believes that GECA is a big step in the right direction. They also know that there's no one else in the world that has actually taken this position. There's no other industry group, alliance, or anything like this that is thinking and progressing at a global level, okay? There's lots of industry associations just in Europe or just in the UK or just in other parts of the world. But there is no group that's actually looking at equity crowdfunding as an opportunity at global scale, okay, where we can operate across borders seamlessly through purpose-built technology, okay? So that's part of the excitement that we're seeing from the industry. Here's another supporter talking about why they believe it's really important to get involved with GECA and support GECA. And that's not just saying, yes, count me in. We will very carefully select certain supporters to be really actively involved in how GECA is run and administered and the initiatives that we pursue. So I think you get the idea that this is not, Dacxi Chain telling the world how the world needs to work. This is actually the industry itself coming together. But importantly, the reason they're doing that, there's one reason, which is they all want to achieve global equity crowdfunding. Okay, it's good for them, it's good for the investor, and it's good for the companies that are looking to access growth capital. Okay, it truly is that win-win-win. GECA also has a LinkedIn identity, and there's a whole other body of work that will unfold very shortly around social media more generally. So I encourage you to go in, take a look at that, support and follow GECA on LinkedIn. But more generally, we are literally right now doing releases to select business and finance media. So we'll be sharing those with you. So these are essentially press releases to select business and finance media to, tell the business and finance world about GECA and its vision and the work that it's doing to progress that vision. We'll support that with social media activity, as you'd expect. And then we're going to be providing regular updates. In particular, I'll be including regular updates around GECA in this monthly Dacxi Chain community update, okay? So that's things about, for example, we're in conversations with various industry leaders from around the world to join the steering committee, okay? So as an alliance, it will be run essentially administered by a steering committee. Dacxi Chain will have a strong presence on that steering committee, as you would expect, but there'll also be a very strong presence from the industry itself. So that steering committee is a really powerful statement. We'll be making announcements and updates in the very near future about industry leaders, recognised industry leaders who'll be joining the GECA steering committee. It's an incredibly strong vote of confidence and statement to the global industry, I think. So we're excited about those announcements. There'll be newsletters, as I mentioned earlier. This community, this GECA community, as it grows, will really enrich involvement for the industry with, sharing insights, industry development. So we'll be a source of information as well as a mechanism through which the industry can work together to achieve this shared vision of global equity crowdfunding. We'll also be making updates about the membership as it grows, okay? Who's joining, and a little bit of background on who those individuals represent, what are the companies that they come from, and who do they represent. So you can see here we've got this genuinely unique opportunity to bring together all the leaders of the global industry. They all believe in the vision. They want to be a part of making it happen. And we've got an opportunity through GECA to expand our own vision beyond the objective to actually now start to engage with the industry much more broadly, be seen to be bringing them together much more broadly, supporting initiatives which are not just about the Dacxi Chain technology, but ultimately what all of this does, what everything GECA is working to achieve does, is it underlines and validates everything we're doing with Dacxi Chain. So I'm hoping everyone here can sort of see how there's this really powerful alignment between an essentially independent industry-run initiative that exists only to achieve global equity crowdfunding, and Dacxi Chain, who will be in a position to obviously contribute and influence the agenda of GECA, but where our vision of global equity crowdfunding absolutely unambiguously aligns with the purpose of GECA. Okay, so you can understand why, there's a lot of work's gone into this. We're really excited about it. We think we've got a vehicle to radically accelerate our support. So I'm talking about support not just for GECA, but by virtue of that for Dacxi Chain, really accelerate that into a whole bunch of new markets. We've constantly got inquiries coming in from different parts of the world. And sometimes just keeping up with all of that is a challenge, but we've really tapped into something here that the industry wants to latch onto and be a part of. And we're excited about, really excited about how we can use GECA to accelerate our progress to achieve the vision of Dacxi Chain. Okay. So hopefully I've explained that in a way that is easy enough to understand. So sort of go back to where we started around these three paths, these three parallel paths these three bodies of work that we're pursuing and investing in. Just to remind you, so there's the work with very select platforms in select jurisdictions to actually get the first deals up and running. We're getting really close on that. The second is the blockchain. That's an ongoing build project that we recently recommenced. So we'll share more updates or milestones as we go. And then the third is, which I've spent a bit more time on today, is talking about the launch of GECA and why we think this is an incredibly exciting and will ultimately be a very important part of Dacxi Chain's success. So look, that concludes the presentation. I'm sure you'll be pleased to know that. It didn't go for too long. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to answer. We had some really good questions come through. I've picked a couple of those that I think are going to be probably interesting to everybody. So let me run through these in no particular order. This first question, maybe we've touched on a little bit, but I might expand on it. It says, how involved are the crowdfunding platforms in the development of Dacxi Chain technology? So it's actually a very good question. So indirectly, they are very involved. Okay, we're not obviously literally developing the technology with them. All of our technology is proprietary. We don't outsource it. We build all of it. Okay, so we're in control of absolutely all of it, and we do that with our team exclusively. We're not working with outsourced teams. But really, the work that we're doing there is in response to the collaboration and the insights and the ideas that are being shared and developed with those partners. Okay, so we're having real discussions with them on a regular basis about, well, that's a really interesting idea. How about if we did it this way, which means the technology would need to do this? Is that going to be a problem for your platform? Because we can go and build that. Do you get a feel for the way that the process evolves? So all of that work is being done. The technology part of it is being done by us exclusively, but it's absolutely informed by this collaboration process that's ongoing with our partners. Hopefully that answers that question. Another question here. Does the Dacxi blockchain need to be completed to run the first shared deals? That's a good question. The answer is no. So the infrastructure that we've built and we've already released, including our APIs, allows deals to be shared and for those deals to be executed without the Dacxi blockchain. Okay, the Dacxi blockchain is an integrated component that we'll introduce in the future, but none of the shared deals that we're working on with our partners require that blockchain to be completed. Okay, the use cases that we can get to as a result of completing our own blockchain are obviously really powerful, and that's why we've recommenced that work. But we can use a layer 1 blockchain to support all of the shared deals between now and launching our own blockchain. So there are no impediments. Okay, we do not in any way delay or impede our ability to execute shared deals through the infrastructure we've already built by virtue of the fact that our own blockchain is not yet complete. So I thought that was a good question. And then maybe a little bit related to that, another question here. Will the first deal still use the Dacxi Chain infrastructure? So I've probably answered that already. Yes, absolutely. So every shared deal that goes through a Dacxi Chain partner will use the Dacxi Chain infrastructure. Okay. In particular, the APIs. So the vast majority of them will use the APIs, but which just means it's an automated way for one platform to talk to another platform. But we've also built the application layer in a way that these deals can be shared without them using the API. So in other words, in the simplest possible terms, there's a couple of different ways deals can be shared. They don't have to do it one way. They don't have to do it the other way. They can choose the one that suits them best. But what we're seeing is that most partners will want to share deals through the APIs, which is this more automated way of doing it, okay? Which is why we built the APIs, okay? It's a much more scalable proposition for us and also for our partners. Look, there's a couple of other questions, but I probably don't need to go through those. I've probably touched on those in the presentation already. So look, I'm really hoping that you know, everything we've talked about is clear and understood. I think the development and the launch of GECA and the platform this now gives us to expand our support across the globe and really start to push harder and faster towards this vision, including the execution of these first deals. I'm really hoping that that's coming through for everybody, and you can see the power of what GECA achieves for Dacxi Chain. And look, I'm very much looking forward to sharing updates, not just around Dacxi Chain and the things we've talked about today, but also specifically around GECA, the level of involvement, the building out of a world-class set of executives to sit on the steering committee to make decisions about the initiatives and to really guide the industry globally towards this outcome that they all desperately want, which is the Dacxi Chain vision of global borderless equity crowdfunding. So look, with that, I think I've said more than enough, and hopefully everyone's found that a little bit interesting. Please keep your questions coming in. We really do genuinely welcome those, and we will endeavour to answer everybody's questions either directly or in this presentation each month. But otherwise, I just want to thank everybody for their time and their interest, continued interest. I appreciate it's different times of the day for many of you, so we really do appreciate your ongoing support and interest, and really looking forward to providing further updates in the next monthly update.